Hey there, guys. So I want to welcome you to today's live stream. And of course, this week is the Dog Days of Summer Online Fitness Challenge week. This is the only week I'm doing this challenge, as I mentioned before. Um, Again, it's from it started pretty much on Sunday, and then it'll end towards the end of the week on Sunday as well. So I want to go over a few things before I get started with this. I want you to bear with me too today. So last week I sort of injured my wrist working out, and I'm still somewhat trying to recover from that. And I've been sort of a little bit out of it recently, to be honest. Just trying to recover from this and trying to work on business stuff and things of that sort, and just trying to continue to get things rolling. It's been a little bit difficult, but I'm trying to stay consistent and I'm trying to do what I need to do to get things done. I do want to thank you guys for always watching these live streams, even if you check them out after I upload them. I do appreciate it, and I always look forward to doing these because I think you get some interesting information from this. So I'm excited to talk about today's topic. It's a very important topic to know, and I want to sort of preface this too, which I have a disclaimer that I'm going to mention. Anything I discuss today, please, talk to your doctor, talk to a medical professional when you're discussing these sort of things. Again, I'm just a personal trainer. I do know a lot about health situations, health conditions, but I can't diagnose anything of that sort. I can't diagnose health conditions. So if you feel that you have a certain condition, please reach out to a doctor or any medical professional. I wanted to mention that beforehand, before doing this, because I am going to discuss topics, related to diseases and different health conditions today. But I hope you guys find a lot of information from this. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, we're going to discuss chronic health conditions today. And like I mentioned, the disclaimer: speak to your doctor about any concerns that you have on any health conditions, anything you believe you might have. So again, that is outside of my scope of practice to diagnose anything, to any kind of treatment I'm not going to give. But I am going to sort of discuss these topics and these conditions and preventative measures to the conditions that I'm going to talk about today. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and discuss what chronic health conditions are. So basically, there are two types of health conditions, I guess you could say. So the main one, of course, we're going to talk about today is chronic. So the definition of chronic is simply recurring over and over again, or in other words, recurring, which is the opposite of an acute disease. So I'm not going to discuss too much about acute diseases, but basically what an acute disease is pretty much like when you get sick for a short period of time. Just like when you get the flu, or when you get, any ailment that can pretty much be cured in a quick period of time. So that's pretty much what an acute disease is. But a chronic disease is simply a long-lasting disease. And it can be prevented in certain ways, in some ways it can't. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So I'm going to go over a few examples of chronic health conditions. I'm going to go over some of the major ones, and I am going to reference a few links that you can go to sort of look a little bit more into these health conditions. So we're going to discuss heart disease, diabetes, cancer, COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and hypertension. So let's go ahead and start with heart disease. So basically what heart disease is it can be a wide variety of different things, and it contribute. Okay, so let's go back and say, okay, it is heart disease in itself includes a wide variety of contributors, but is essentially disease of the heart and can include blood vessel disease, heart valve disease, etc. So, heart disease is an overall, basically, an umbrella term for different types of diseases of the heart. And when I've researched about heart disease, especially whenever I'd started getting my certification to be a personal trainer, one of the main topics that is usually, that's discussed in a lot of the lessons was about, chronic health conditions. And heart disease is one of the highest killers as far as chronic health conditions are concerned. I do have a link here at the bottom. I try to reference a few sort of links here that you can look into about these conditions. Okay, and diabetes is the second one I'm going to discuss. So, diabetes can be categorized into both type 1 and type 2, and is known as a group of disease that affects how the body uses blood sugar. I do have a link here that discusses a little bit more about the symptoms and the causes of diabetes. A lot of, diabetes has to do with, insulin and, keeping track of blood sugar. It is very common. Another chronic health condition that is very common. This one can actually be prevented. And two, when I say prevent, there are certain conditions that you can take preventive actions. But in some cases, these things happen, and there's ways that it's just not fully preventable. So the reason I want to say that is we go into the next one, which is pretty commonly known, and that's cancer. And basically, cancer is a pretty broad term, and it's much like in the same definition as heart disease. So it's a broad term in that many factors contribute to cancer. But the definition of cancer itself is basically an abnormal growth of cells in the human body. So, I mean, there's so many different types of cancer, but to condense it down into a simple definition is basically an abnormal growth of cells that your body produces. Alrighty, so we're going to go into the next one here, and we've got COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. This is simply a disease that can cause obstructed airflow of the lungs. I've got another link here. Most of these are to the Mayo Clinic because they give pretty good descriptive, sort of things that you can look at about these diseases. Again, all of these that I'm discussing today are some of the main killers when it comes to chronic health conditions. Hypertension is another one that's pretty well known. It's basically high blood pressure. Like I said, this is a this is a common chronic condition you've more than likely heard of, and is also recognized as high blood pressure. And most of these diseases, I'm going to get into the preventative part, but most of them can actually be prevented in a lot of the same ways. And I'm going to discuss that here pretty soon. Alright, so here we go. So, can these chronic health conditions be prevented? Yes, they can, but there is some caveats to it. In many ways, you do need to be proactive and be aware before it is too late. So, sedentary lifestyle. So, basically, what sedentary means is you're living, you're not doing a whole lot of movement in your daily life. You're sitting down pretty often. You're not exercising daily. So, and many people now, you've got people that work from home. You've got, people that do more office-based jobs. They don't move around that much. So that can be considered a sedentary lifestyle. And sedentary lifestyles are the major contributor when it comes to chronic conditions. So if you try to stay physically active in your daily life and you put in, if you integrate small little changes to your lifestyle, that can significantly reduce your risk of getting these chronic health conditions. And again, they're not fully preventable, but it can lower your risk of getting them if you stay physically active in your daily life and you take the proper, be aware of your nutrition, um, sort of what you're intaking into your body. When you're aware of those, and like taking vitamins and different proactive things that you can do in your day-to-day life, and changes in your lifestyle can help with the prevention of these chronic health conditions. Again, I want to mention, if you feel like you have any of these that I mentioned, definitely reach out to a doctor, a medical professional, or somebody that can diagnose these. Again, I'm just a personal trainer. I can discuss these things, but I can't, diagnose these situations. But what I can do is help with the prevention of it, because that is my job. When you compare my profession to others, I'm a preventative, I'm a preventative health care professional, I guess you would say. I'm more of the preventative part, whereas you have a doctor, which is treating your current health condition that's going on now. So that's basically what my role is, to help prevent these things from happening to you. And that's, physical activity. That's the main part of it, is what prevents those types of health conditions. So that is it of this presentation today. I hope you found some good information. I didn't go too far into detail with these because I know that there's so much information that comes into them, and I wanted to simplify it in a way to where you can understand it easily, and it's not too, I guess, too descriptive and too much detail. But the reasons why I mentioned these today, they're the main contributors when it comes to chronic health conditions. They're the main contributors to death. Most of these, like I mentioned, come from being in a sedentary lifestyle and not doing a lot of movement throughout your day. So if you take precautions today, you're likely going to reduce your risk of getting these. And again, not all of them can be fully preventable, but you can reduce your risk. So that is the end of my presentation today, guys. I hope you found some good information from this. Um, if I do want to mention one thing before I end this too, I am still taking any trial clients who wants to get on Trainerize. I do still have many spots available where you can get on Trainerize. You'll have access to all the available things to get started with Trainerize, to sort of start out my workout programming, and it's all a 7-day free trial. You get it for free. It doesn't require a credit card or anything of that sort. You'll get pre-designed workouts that work with your daily routine. You'll be able to get access to the nutrition part of my program, which is through Evolution Nutrition. It's a really cool app that connects with Trainerize. And again, you'll get to be involved with this community that I'm trying to create through the Facebook group that you've likely joined or you've heard about. And that's my main part of everything that I'm trying to do with my fitness program, is to create a community and to get together a group of like-minded individuals who are looking to change their lives and better themselves. So again, I do have spots available if you want to join my 7-day free trial that I'm doing with my programming. The trial will end though at the end of this week. I am likely to do another trial later on in the near future, but you can start today. You can get started today. I can send you a link. You can just send me a message or direct message me through Facebook. You can send me an email, send me a text message, whatever is the best option for you. and I can get you started with that trial. Again, you don't have to have any payment. You'll be able to access it all for free. I can set up your program. You have a pre-designed program, and you can get started today. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you found out some good information from this. And I look forward to the next live stream. I am going to be doing another live stream on Thursday, which is going to be about food labels. So that'll be a good topic to discuss. And this, in this week for this trial, I want to discuss a little bit more into detail about more of the health side. Uh, you know, and connecting it with fitness itself. So I look forward to doing that live stream on Thursday. And again, it'll be at 11 a.m. like this live stream. So I'll see you guys next time in my live stream. And I look forward to talking about food labels with you guys. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you soon.